Hi, I'm Heather Noël from the GivingGameFoundation.com. I am empathic and clairaudient. My friend Victoria is clairvoyant, and we work together to bring light into the awakenings that we're all going through at this time. So tell me, what's going on for you this week?
Readings. I've done like 5 or 6 readings. What's interesting is I go to bed last night and I still have hundreds of people coming through. And so I at first they look like reptilians, and so I'm like, okay, I need some help. And then all of a sudden I just saw all of these people, and they looked like they were not wealthy, or they were old fishermen or something, like they had wraps around them, and but they're all smiling at me, and I just kept saying ho'opono, ho'opono to them, and blessing them and saying hello, and so, but I saw them all kind of march by, and they kept on going, and there's just like, gosh, hundreds of people, and they're walking on down this tube, and I don't know if they had passed or what was going on, but anyway, it was pretty interesting. But I'm kind of getting that every night, different people, and a bunch of them, not just one.
Is that okay for you? Is it not okay? I mean, how are you feeling about it?
I'm starting to relax more with it, which I think is good. Instead of being in resistance to life, I'm trying to go more with the flow. And so I have tools now too, like with the reptilians. I'm like, okay, Galactic Federation of the Worlds, hello, we have company here, So, and I actually have seen them literally grab them and take them off. They almost look like they're in a cube, and they pull them right on out. And so that's happened like 2 or 3 times. And then the people, what was weird though, the people that I was saying, ho'opono, anyway, when I was saying that to them, it almost looked like they were going into some kind of a travel truck or something, but there was no end. It was like a hallway, and you can see the truck part of it, and they just kept walking on through. So I don't know if that was, I do know, I'm just figuring out what it is that I know here about where they're going, if it's just like a tunnel or what, or they're just traveling through the astros, or what's going on. So
So what is going on?
I'm just saying hello and blessing them as they're going by, and they just keep on going. And so I'm just calling them visitors at this point. So,
but they're not bugging you. But they're not bothering you, right?
No.
Okay, good.
And another thing that I'm trying to decipher as well is, good from bad or not. I shouldn't even call it good or bad, but do I need to protect myself or not? And it's not so much, I feel like if I have figured it out, I don't have to protect myself anyway, but at this point of the game, when this is all kind of new and these people are coming in, I'm just like, you kind of look reptilian to me. So of course the tube of light, that's instantaneous, and then I call for help because they look like they're coming straight for me. They're just marching, like a whole, like 20 of them coming right towards me, and I'm just like, okay, tube of light, hello, Galactic Federation of the Worlds, I have company.
Yeah.
And so that seems to work. So
good. You said something to the effect of, I don't know if I have to protect myself or not, kind of thing. I don't know if it was that was it exactly, but something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said.
So let's look at it this way. Does love protect itself?
No, not at all.
Right? Yeah. And even with the tube of light, though it brings about what we think of as protection, we are simply standing with love and truth, right? And the truth is, why do you ever protect yourself? Because, in other words, it would be the belief that you could be harmed.
Fear,
right?
Yes.
I mean, otherwise you have nothing to protect yourself from. right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So it's either your mind or your body, your spirit, whatever. You believe that it can be harmed, or that someone could have a will that is counter to your own. Okay?
Yes.
So let yourself tune into that for a minute.
Okay.
And just see how you feel. And everything that you're doing is perfect, by the way, to call in for assistance. I do that too. I'm like, okay. But here's what I want to say. This is what's coming to me. It's basically saying, I do not choose to go down that path. Now, that's a really different thing than I have to protect myself. And so the energy here is sort of like this. You're at the movie theater. You've got all these choices. And you choose to go to a particular movie. Now, when you go to that movie, you don't think, well, I came to this movie because I had to protect myself about that movie over there because that movie is a horror movie and I don't like that, right? So I had to protect myself. And when I did that, I ended up at this movie, right? You would never think that way.
Right.
Okay? So let yourself kind of tune into that, and now apply that idea to what you're talking about. And let yourself see the energy when you go. So look at your own energy and see what is the energy when I just am consciously making a choice, as opposed to thinking I'm protecting myself. Right? Yeah. Go ahead.
So what I saw as beforehand, it's kind of funny looking. At the top of my head, I see it looks like a white little flower, its stem going up, and like this flower that's round, and it's bent over like a spotlight, and it's looking around. So literally, I've got this white, this light energy coming out of this flower looking around. Like, oh my gosh. So literally I was kind of looking to make sure there was no bad in the room, see? But when I go with the option of saying I choose not to go down this path, then all of a sudden that flower just is gone, and then my whole person is bright like that flower. And I have no need of the flower. Like it turns into a bunch of weeds, dead weeds on top of my head. It's going to blow off,
Uh-huh.
And so, but then that empowers me. Actually, it empowers me in the spirit of this bright light, this love, and so I don't have to look around for whatever.
Right. So do you see how? Okay, so now let yourself see how that changes your trajectory. So in other words, you were saying, well, this is happening again and this is happening again, right? These people are coming through this, all that kind of stuff. Does that shift things for you when you come from that point of view?
It absolutely does. And what I'm seeing is this above my head now, it's like this big oval, actually it's just a blank of really bright oval picture or whatever behind me, and it's my picture to draw. In other words, it has a blank, really bright energy, and so then with my mind or with my thoughts, I can create what I want to see now. And I see like a mountain right now and a little road going up the mountain, and it's a very serene, peaceful scene, which is really wonderful.
Yeah. So that's a huge difference, isn't it? And that's why that idea of protection, the idea of protection automatically comes with duality, right?
Yes.
Because there has to be something outside of yourself to protect yourself from. So it has to come with that. So that's awesome. that's going to really create a different experience for you. You're going to have a very different time at the movie theater. And I love that. You know, that just kind of came to me, that idea of I'm protecting myself from that movie, so I went into this movie because I need protection from that movie. I love that.
It's perfect. Yeah. And it is like a movie every night, you know, in our dreams.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, different actors, different episodes.
Right. So if you can notice that when you're seeing these things, if you look at it like it's a trailer for a movie that you're about to see, and do you want to go to that one or a different one? Just look at it like a movie trailer. That's all you're seeing. Wow. Yeah.
That is. Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you so much for this movie trailer. It was really exciting. No, I don't want to see that movie, but thank you.
Yeah, it's like,
where's my popcorn? I need to go get popcorn. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so like in the evening then, right before I go to bed, then I can say, okay, I choose to have a pleasurable experience when I shut my eyes. And my pleasurable experience, and I can even define it then. And then shut my eyes. And do I need to define, I choose not to have invasive energy or energy that...
Whoa. If you say I choose, hold it. Okay. Now you're back into duality. If you go, I choose not to have this, right? So first of all, the subconscious mind doesn't understand not, no, 0, -2. It doesn't understand that at all, right? Okay. And so you want to do everything like an affirmation. I'm affirming this. But look at what you just said. Yeah, but look at what you just said. Do I need to think this up? So that's when your left brain is getting involved, right? Your left brain goes, okay, I understand. I'm going to do this. I'll handle this, little lady. So here's what we're going to do. So it's about as effective as going to sleep and trying to determine what your dream is going to be, how it's going to look. Or if you do that during the day, imagine you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, this is what I want my day to look like. It's going to look like this, and then it's going to go like that, and then it's going to happen like this, right? And how often does your world respond accordingly?
Well, life happens, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why we're here. And we're here for the fun and games of it all, right? And so the more that, but have you ever noticed that when you do try to plan out your day, like this is what's going to make me happy, and basically what you're telling yourself is, and if it doesn't go this way, I won't be as happy as if it goes the way I want it to.
Oh, right.
And how well does that kind of day? How well does that kind of day work out?
It does not. It's then you get you have expectations, and it's like
that's right.
Then you're going to be a victim, and wah. And so no, it doesn't work. It doesn't.
That's right. And you have an attachment to an outcome, correct?
Right. Yes.
And that is fear-based. Right? If you're attached to an outcome, you've got a fear. Like, oh. And so how does the program work? To let yourself just take a look at this, and I'm going to let you do a little psychic tuning into it. But what does it look like when you have an attachment to an outcome? Energetically, what does that look like?
Well, first off, I feel like I'm in my own little bubble, and I'm really protected. But then all of a sudden, I've got, it looks like a cactus. And what I look like, my energy was really bright, and all of a sudden it's like lead. And then I see all these little cactus, stickers all over this globe or whatever I had around me. And I don't get very far, in other words, in what I think that I can create, I can control and can create. So I'm going to say, here's the day, and I'm probably not even a third into the day, and I've already been wasted.
Right?
And so, yeah, I think it's like the universe is like saying, okay, we're gonna get you, taken care of right now. You're not going to get through the whole day with this nonsense.
Let's energetically take a look at Jesus.
No, I just saw Jesus, as a matter of fact. So go ahead.
I love that.
I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so would you say that Jesus was a master creator? A master creator?
Yes. And the reason I'm saying that, when I was explaining what I was going through, that mess I had created for myself by being in control, I saw Jesus sitting there at the side, and he's just sitting there watching, just looking at it like, yeah, okay. But then when I look at Jesus, when you say, okay, was he a master creator, I'm looking at him, and he's glowing. He's literally just standing there glowing and not controlling anything. He is accepting everything just the way it is, and there's zero judgment nor control or anything. And what I do see is he's got his hands up like he's constantly being in praise and thanks and glorifying, the world or whatever. And so he has figured something out for sure.
So notice that he has no resistance to what is. That part of his ability to be a master creator was not being in resistance. He wasn't trying to create his world, was he? He was going with what was going on in the world and creating within what was actually happening.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So now go and energetically look. There's a Bible story where Jesus was called on to heal Lazarus, who was dying. And I didn't know this until just recently, but he was actually only 2 miles away from Lazarus. And he's like, okay, I'll get there as soon as I can, kind of a thing. And he shows up 3 days later, and Lazarus had died like right away, and then had been dead for 3 full days. And in that time period, if you've been dead for 3 days, that was it. Like you might come back, or but like there was no coming back after 3 days. That was the definitive number there, right? So he's like totally dead, and then his sister, Lazarus' sister, was really pissed. She's like, "What took you so long?" And I never knew. I always thought he was traveling a long, long way. It was 2 miles away. So I could see why she was a little annoyed with him. Now he's dead, and now look at us, and now woe is me, and all this. And he had a lot of things. He had excellent comebacks. I don't know what they were, but anyhow, he starts off by giving thanks. He gives gratitude for what he is seeing. And then, after he gives gratitude, then Lazarus comes back to life. He didn't wait around to see if it was going to work, right? He gave gratitude first. Right. So my question to you is, tune in to Jesus' energy and start off at the beginning where he was called to go and heal Lazarus, who is like on death's doorway. And, or there's something like that. Yeah. Okay. So go look there.
Okay. So what was happening with Lazarus, he's getting a lesson on, it had something to do with programming, emotional programming. And it was, lessons from many experiences on this planet. And it was a matching picture. And so Jesus was where he was at, kind of understanding this, because I could see this energy coming from God, and it's just line after line going to Lazarus. And Jesus was just sitting in his glory, observing the whole thing, because Lazarus was wanting to get a picture. He's wanting to get a picture of, I would say, death. It's that veil between physical and non-physical. And so there was a picture involving that experience, and Lazarus was wanting to get the information from that experience. So Jesus waited until all of the information was coming in from God, and then he went over and basically brought him back to life. And Lazarus had that experience of what it was like to be right at that point of being physical and non-physical, and then coming back physical.
That's pretty freaking exciting. I can see why Jesus couldn't have really explained that to Lazarus' sister. So he's one of those, because you think about it. If Lazarus could have written a book, tell me what he saw on the other side while Jesus was waiting for him to have his experience. What did he see?
Wow, I feel very emotional all of a sudden. It's like I want to cry. And so what he is seeing is where Jesus is. He understood exactly where Jesus was. He got to see that. And then what I see him holding in his hand is like this round circle, and it has Jesus in it. So he's able to take that information that he got on the other side and how Jesus became Jesus, where it obtained his knowledge, and he got to take that back onto the physical and go ahead and experience the physical with this information of how Jesus was in the physical and how he carried his energy the way he did. He was able to obtain that information.
So what do you think happened to Lazarus? Do you think Lazarus became a teacher in his own right?
Let me see. I know that he is rushing to get back here. He wanted to get back on the other side, so it wasn't hard for him.
Yeah, he wanted to tell his story, didn't he?
Right.
He wanted to tell people what happened.
Yeah, I see him running. He's like, come on, come and get me. And so that's pretty cool. So he definitely had a story. And a book, he had the information, and it was all compiled in a book. And I think he probably got on the other side and started writing immediately because it was right there in his hands. And so, yes, he had information to share.
Okay. So now let's take a look. I'm not positive if this is the right person, but I'm pretty sure his sisters' names were Martha and Mary. And Mary was the more spiritual, and Martha was the one who panicked, who was like really pissed off. And so whoever that was, just pick up on the energy. I'm pretty sure it's Martha, though. And so did Martha ever get it? Did she ever understand, or did she stick really strongly with her beliefs?
I think she's pretty hardcore.
Okay, well, let's look at Mary, too. What was her perception of all this after the fact? What happened to her?
So she acknowledged it, but she didn't admit it. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. I see that she took it, and she still had a lot of concrete training too, what I call concrete training. It's really hard to remove that concrete. But
like programming. When you say training, you mean like programming. Her brain was programmed. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, that makes sense because that's the programming that Lazarus had. So with that programming, I see her energy, and she takes a lot of it, and then she kind of hides behind the concrete. So she doesn't go out and proclaim it. In other words, she kind of hid it. And she stood right next to her sister. So she had this need to support her sister or make her sister feel okay. And so she took her information, she saw it, but she hid it. It wasn't up on the mountaintop and screaming at all.
Okay. So one of the two sisters felt like the family healer, the thing that you have related to, right? One of them has it. Who was it?
Well, that would be this last one that I read, for sure.
Mary's the one that you're talking about right now. She was the one who's a little more spiritual. Martha was the one more stuck.
So Mary is the one that I see her energy dwindling, like it turns black, kind of not black, but like darkened. And so of the healers, I would say Mary is the one that is getting squashed.
So when you look at this energy for yourself, right?
Yes.
There's something here that is what has kind of would be familiar to you, right? So in other words, so let yourself see what that energy is, because this is just something to help you see things for yourself. Like these are all what are called archetypes, right? So there's something about the Mary archetype where she understood stuff better than most, but she didn't let herself go as far as she could. Like she could have really, really let go and completely gone with this.
Yes.
Right?
She could
so
have.
Let yourself
Yep.
see that. So let yourself see the connection to you. Like what is in here that that you relate to?
Yeah, I see me all over that. Okay, so Mary is allowing the structure, this concrete structure, to settle her, to hold her back. And that I can relate to completely with me, and how, okay, my house has to be a certain way, this book has to be taken care of, I have to watch over everything, make sure all the animals and the plants and the people, everybody's okay, and I have to serve, and then I'll take care of me, right? And when I say that, I see an angel or Jesus. I see an angel or Jesus behind me, right as I speak, and they're anointing the top of my head. I really see it right now, and they're it almost looks like Jesus. Victoria, you're kind of breaking up. Can you get yourself in a better position? I don't know why, but you're just breaking up a bit. That's weird. Let me move my phone. Well, it could be, and it might be this energy, but I'm seeing this energy over me, and it's like it looks like I'm being anointed. I've got all this white energy coming down my head, down into my head. And well, then just let it in, girl. Let it in. Yeah, I am, and I see it as Jesus, and then I see it as an angel, and now I'm seeing it as Jesus again. And it's very bright, and it's coming in. And they're anointing me because they realize, I think that they're acknowledging, the sacrifices and what I've been doing, but they're also acknowledging where I want to go. And I really feel I'm being anointed, I'm being blessed, and I'm accepting it. And that this is really wonderful because I really connect strongly with Jesus in the New Testament, and now that we're saying hello to it, I think saying hello to me, I don't know. Thank you. Wow. So this is very, I see angel wings, I see Jesus, and it's all coming in right now. So, phew. So this is wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, take a moment and just let yourself be present. I'll just wait. Okay? So just wait and let yourself have, because truly it's really hard to hear you, and I'm sure I have no doubt about what you're talking about. So let yourself just sit here for a minute and let it come in. And I'm going to put myself on mute, and I'm going to let you just sit with it, and you take your time, okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, Heather, I think that, okay, yeah, that was that energy coming in. It was huge. It was a lot of energy. Wow. Like a waterfall of just all this very brilliant energy coming in. And I had to ground and just release and just breathe. I had to breathe. And so, I was just given some energy in my right hand. It's like Jesus came in with an angel, and they met. They were holding hands, and then they saw my hand. I had my hand open. They dropped this white energy down into my hand, So, which was very beautiful. Anyway, that was wonderful. That's a beautiful. Phew. Wow. So thank you. Yeah, well, thank you. I did nothing. I was just hanging out with you. So I'm not fuzzing out or anything, because that was why I was fuzzing out. That was the energy coming right down the top of my head and just over my whole body. So. So, okay. So that
is how you create what you just did. And notice there was no doing in it. There's no doing in it at all.
Oh.
Like, right? That's the way that
doing.
Jesus created. Right there. There's no doing. There's going with what is. And then from that state of non-doing, the perfect thing unfolds. Right?
Yes. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's where you go, yes, I choose that movie theater. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Good.
Wow. Just be.
Notice that most people believe that Jesus, died on the cross. Actually, let's go take a look at that real quick. I'm not sure if what people believe is what actually happened from Jesus' perspective. And so I'm not asking about the story that's in the Bible. I'm asking what was Jesus' perspective of what we would call the crucifixion. See what you see.
Okay, so what I'm seeing over and over again is like the stones built up around something. And, I saw a cross, but nobody on it, and then I saw these stones built up around, I would say, like, it's man-made stones. Like not man-made stones, but where they built this wall up and around. And so, let me see where Jesus is. Okay, so where they had the body put in, like a cave or whatever, I see the door opening. I don't know, I didn't see a body going in, but I see the door opening, and when the door just cracks open, I see and I feel this energy coming out, and it's this pure energy, pure bright energy coming out the top of this door, and around the edge of the door too. And so So as the door is coming open, then all of this energy is just coming out. As far as Jesus' body, I believe that is Jesus' perspective. It's not about the body. It's not the cross. It's about all this beautiful energy coming out and touching the world. And that's Jesus' perspective. That's why I really feel that's why I was not seeing what happened to the body, but I'm seeing the information coming out of this experience. It's what Jesus sees. That's his perspective. It's not about any of the drama or whatever, all that stuff. It's about the pure light that's coming out to reflect upon the world. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay, perfect. So now let that all tie together with what we've just been talking about. Because you could say that Jesus, according to the biblical perspective and the perspective that people have been carrying, he would have been like the ultimate victim, right?
Yes.
I mean, you can't think of anyone who did more good. He's doing all good in the world, and he was constantly being attacked, right? But
right.
That wasn't his perspective.
No, it wasn't. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
You're right on, because I just see that he doesn't want us looking at, the pain on the cross and, oh my God, taking care of the body. That's all. It's like he went through all of that in vain, because that wasn't why he went through what he went through. It's what I'm being shown. It is to show people that it's not about the physical body. It's not about someone's opinion of you. It's not about, destroying a perception. It's about living in pure love, like just being in this essence, this beautiful essence, and not letting the world, mess it up or throw it off or anything. To just be in this essence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now, did Jesus ever have any visitations? So you have visitations, right? We'll call them that. Did Jesus have visitations?
I do see a visitation, absolutely. And I could even tell you what chakra it hit him on. It's second chakra. second chakra. I see the round ball, and it's coming in, and it's literally this ball of I don't think it's from this planet. It doesn't look like it's from this planet. So with this energy, so it's touching his emotional, second chakra, his emotional part of his body. And it's the exact same energy that I'm seeing that Jesus carried with him. But what's interesting, it almost looks like a donut instead of a ball. Like there's a hole in the middle of it that is darker. They brought in that piece of the donut that was missing. What they lit him up on was his survival, and it had something to do with, being connected to the rules of the land. Okay, so like I can get into survival with, do I have enough money? I mean, right there is survival.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so that's what these beings were lighting him up on. They were saying, okay, we're going to light you up. We're going to make you afraid. And so by making a person afraid, well, then that fuels this negative energy, these negative teachers.
So you're calling the dark ones teachers, is that correct?
I am, because they're teaching him, they're lighting him up on survival, because they're hitting him in his first chakra. So they're lighting him up on survival. And so then here comes, I would call it the galactics. They came in on his second, his emotional, and said, okay, here's the piece that you're looking for, because this is the missing piece of the puzzle to this circle.
So when you say the galactics, you're talking about the light forces as opposed to the dark forces. So we have the dark forces teaching him one way, and then the light forces come in, and they're teaching him something based on what he just was getting lit up on, correct?
Yes. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Okay, I'm with you now. Go ahead.
I get to seeing all this, and I'm like trying to put it in words gets a little crazy. But anyway, okay, so the light force comes in and gives him that piece of information. And so what he's doing is he's going back in time. He's not staying right here. He's going back to where all of this fear or this training came from that puts him in survival. The light beings coming in with the missing piece.
So specifically, what was the missing piece that was the hole in the donut?
So it was his first chakra, survival, and so it had everything to do with his connection to the physical. The physical, I need to have shoes on my feet when I walk. I have to have clothes on my body. I have to everything that would touch him emotionally, would affect him anyway emotionally. That's what that was about.
Okay. And so what was the piece that the light brought into him? The galactics.
Oh, okay. So what I'm seeing is there's a balance, that non-judgment, that was another piece of to not judge, like the dark force that's come in, not to judge them as being dark or light. So judgment was a big piece. That's the biggest piece, as a matter of fact.
Big,
right there.
Yes, huge. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's emotional, and that was right in his second chakra. His emotional, that was the piece, was literally judgment.
Yeah.
The programming or whatever he is telling himself. I have to have this, I have to have that, and this and that. And so they freed him from that with this understanding of there's no judgment. There just is, just be.
Perfect. Okay, now tie this back in with the beginning of our talk for yourself so you can see it. See, you've made stuff right and wrong, good and bad. These are the bad guys. These are the good guys. These are the annoying people. This is da-da-da-da-da, right? and there is a judgment about it. And so this is where you're at. You're at this place of, because look, what you're talking about basically has to do with the fun and games of being here. And this is a big piece to the puzzle, people are so in resistance to the dark, and this is evil, and this is bad, and this is good, and all that, and they don't see what they're learning from it if they so choose. Like if you were to shift gears on this one, let's say, and see everything from the perspective that you're talking about, where there is no judgment. Now that is about as big as it gets, right? And the non-judgment is basically what we've talked about already, which is the law of allowance. But it goes a little deeper, because on the one hand, there's like the allowance that other people get to play the game their way, you play it your way, right? But the thing that most people have a really hard time seeing is that the only way that you can really play this game is to have contrast. And so otherwise, Jesus would have been completely unrelatable. If he only lived in love and light and did not have the human experience, humans would not have related to him. They had a hard enough time relating to him as it was, because they kept making Jesus into God, right? Jesus said, I and my Father are one, but this oneness was about everybody. We all have this oneness. You know what I'm talking about? And let me, hold on one second. I want to just read this one thing to you, just because I know you know this or we've talked about it before, but in this context, I'd like you to just hear this. This is from the Law of One, and I think you're going to see this on a really different level now that we've had this talk and now that you're starting to see this other aspect. That which is infinite cannot be many, for manyness is a finite concept. To have infinity, you must identify or define that infinity as unity. Otherwise, the term does not have any reference or meaning. In an infinite creator, there is only unity. You have seen simple examples of unity. You have seen the prism which shows all colors stemming from the sunlight. This is a simplistic example of unity. In truth, there is no right or wrong. There is no polarity, for all will be, as you would say, reconciled at some point in your dance through the mind-body-spirit complex, which you amuse yourself by distorting in various ways at this time. This distortion is not in any case necessary. It is chosen by each of you as an alternative to understanding the complete unity of thought which binds all things. You are not speaking of similar or somewhat like entities or things. You are everything, every being, every emotion, every event, every situation. You are unity. You are infinity. You are love, light, light, love. You are. This is the law of one. Okay, now working with that, now look at what you were just talking about. Was that what Jesus was coming into understanding? Was the unity of all things, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what Jesus meant when he said the Father and I are one. He was talking about this, the law of one. We are all one, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Right? Okay, so now let all of this apply to where we started with our conversation today.
Wow.
All right?
You know, you know what's really funny, or not funny, but is I think is very appropriate, is the Ho'oponopono is perfect for me to use. So when it happens that I see something that could be threatening, but it's not, that's all I can say. I can say Ho'oponopono because I'm thanking them. I'm saying I'm sorry that I might have a judgment on them, and I'm telling them I love them because they are literally one part of the whole, part of this, of me and the whole creation. And I really feel that's works. It works very well, actually. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And so if you look at all the the mayhem going on right now out in the world, all the excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it from that point of view. So if you look at how people are perceiving everything, you can see that it's just a perception. It isn't real. It isn't right or wrong, good or bad. It's just what they're perceiving. And how they perceive it determines how they feel. But it doesn't actually change reality at all. Like, you may not get that what's real, and you may be making up a lot of stuff and, creating it according to your beliefs. Right? So if you can look at that and look at all the stuff that people are creating in their minds right now, there's a lot of creativity going on out there. What do you say? Like, super creative.
Yeah.
And
to be on the stage.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so that's what's, that's part of what's happening. And then we call it, I have this problem, I have that problem, there's this going on, it can't work, or blah, blah, whatever it is. But notice that you're having the opposite problem. Not even problem. I take that back. Cancel on that one. You're having the opposite experience, right? You're experiencing, instead of less, you're experiencing more. You're not having less clients. You're having a lot more clients, right?
I am. Yes, absolutely.
And so you see that you have been changing your consciousness, your perception of the world that you yourself are creating. And as you've done that, the world is responding. But you didn't try to fix the problem. It wasn't a problem either, right? It wasn't a problem. Whether you had more clients or less clients really wasn't a problem. You're just in the flow anyhow, right? You're just like, whatever, however that works out. I'm not. You weren't thinking, I won't be able to afford anything if I don't have this experience. Notice that you never, ever had the thought of having to control your world. You never went, this is what would make me happy, and now I'm going to focus outside of me to see if that happy thing that I wanted to create got created. Right? You never, never, never did that.
No.
Right? Yeah. So notice that just by your own nature, you were just staying present, and then these little beautiful light things would happen, like, and here's this, and I get to connect with that person, and there was this healing here. But notice that all of it is bringing up more sparkly energy. It's like, I feel like champagne sparkling in a glass. Is what it feels like to me, right? Yeah. Where it's just like, and so like each time you work with someone, notice that when you work with clients, it isn't like, okay, this is my job, this is what I do, and this is how I make money, right? You don't think like that.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
It's so rewarding when they say, you really helped me. I'm like, wow, I'm doing I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What I feel that I want to be doing. This is what I choose to be a part of the universe. I'm playing my part. It feels that.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Gratification. It is fun. Yes.
Yep. Okay. So just notice the difference between what we were talking about at the beginning and about creation, like how do you create. And notice that when you're creating in a way that's where you're on the right track, this is the outcome. But you don't think it out. You don't have an attachment to an outcome. Probably you don't think, like I never think about who I'm going to work with, what I'm going to talk about ever in advance, ever, right? It just comes up in the moment and off we go. So that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Yep. That's perfect.
So now if you just let yourself feel into everything we've just talked about, you'll notice that you totally got your answers and you came up with them yourself. All I did was open a door here and there, right? I just go, lunch, look down this hallway or around that corner, or here, I opened that door, see that light on the other side, and then off you went. But you saw all of it for yourself.
Wow. It's
right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, wow, that was really fun. So do you have any other I know. Do you have any questions?
No, I've just stepped into freedom, it feels like. I can feel like standing outside with my arms out, let the wind blow, like on top of the hill.
Right, right.
It feels so good. Oh, my gosh. So that's wonderful. Just don't try to control it. Just let it be, and it will happen. It's
right.
perfect.
Now look at that compared to The Secret. So The Secret was like law of attraction, focus, 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 feel it into existence. This is the opposite of that. Absolutely. Right? Because that one carries fear within it. If you're visualizing, oh, this is what I want, I'm sure it's what I want, and I absolutely want this, and it's not here for me now, but I really want it, and I don't have it yet, but I'm going to have it. And if I sit here and I feel it out, and then I'm going to get this thing that I want, or this event, or this person, or whatever. But what happens is that when you do it from that perspective that it's not already here, right, that I have to generate energy to bring this about, then any fears that go with it, you're going to experience because it's part of what you created. So if you're creating a super-duper sports car and you've got any fear going on that you don't know about, guess what? You're going to get to look at it. You're going to have this wonderful experience of paying all those bills and whatever it is that needs to happen, or people being jealous or whatever. You're going to get to have that experience as well because it's part of the package deal that you just created, right? Because you didn't. But when you say, I would like this, and then you think to yourself, this or something better, right, then you're not attached to it anymore. And it's like, and I always just go, if this is in my best and highest interest, I would like to have this experience, right? And if it's not, I'm willing to let it go. Well, how much more open can you be to whatever your experience is going to be? You're totally trusting, right?
That's perfect. Wow.
If you think about it, where you would have these visitations, it's bringing something up for you where you're getting an opportunity to look at it. That's why everything is to your benefit. So now you can say thank you. You don't even have to say I'm sorry anymore. Do you realize that? You can just go, thank you. I love you. Thanks for letting me take a look at this. Yeah. Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep, okay.
Because if you didn't have the dark, then you'd have a very different experience of the light. It'd be like, oh, yeah, the light, whatever. I got more light, Whereas when you have that experience of the contrast, right, then you can have this appreciation that you never had before. Really, really, really never had before. We think we love and we think, oh, that, right? But it's on a whole new level when you have these experiences, right? Don't you love light so? Just think about it from your. If you just look at your lifelong experience right now, what you've been experiencing, and then you look at what your sense of light was prior to this conversation, and how you see it now. Wow. What do you see?
Wow. Well, my experience was pretty amazing today, and I was not in complete light before this conversation. I was in shadowed light, and now I'm in the light. I feel it, still feeling that experience and still embracing it. And so, yes, that I have a completely new perspective and some, like I say, some new sticky notes to put on the walls everywhere to keep reminding me in case I go backwards a little bit. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, just when you thought there was nothing. Literally, I thought, well, I wonder if Victoria and I are going to have anything to talk about in her session today. I love that. And notice how it just starts off with the littlest thing. It doesn't seem like a big deal at all, right? I got the big deal stuff. And what's so amazing is that when you start to get here, where we've cleared out the junk, right, the think of yourself like when we first started talking, all the stuff you believed in back then, like that you really believed, right?
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, the difference between then and now, and then the difference from the beginning of this session to the end. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's sort of like what we've been doing all this time is so first we were clearing out big old boulders, and then we cleared out some rocks, and then we're cleaning out these little itty-bitty rocks, and now we're creating this smooth pathway, right? So it's like, okay, this is really smooth for driving my car. And then all of a sudden, you find out that you're in this vehicle that just lifts up off the road, and you're just gliding along in the air going, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like this much better.
The way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really neat.
Well, I want to tell you something. How far have you gotten in the GAME audiobook?
I was just going into part 2 on YouTube.
Oh, so
that's where
so look, if you're in part 2, you're over halfway through. Okay?
Yes.
So, yeah, okay. Well, this is what I want to tell you. So if you listen to the very beginning where I do this introduction with the woman who was the neuroscientist from Australia, and remember how I told you people were having these breakthroughs who listened to the game? And she explained that they were being hypnotized by listening. And that's what I want to tell you. This is an example of a breakthrough. This is something where you couldn't plan it. You couldn't even know what it was coming. And this is the kind of thing that happened to people over and over. And when I talked about 5 out of 6 of the people I was working with in 1 week who were all on a group call together, 5 out of 6 had a breakthrough in the same week. And that's what got my attention right off the bat. And then after that, other people, just individuals, same thing. Same thing. And so that's exactly what happened with you. And I'm telling you,
wow.
this audiobook affects people, and things like this happen. And this is what I've learned from all the people that have had these breakthroughs, is that there was something about listening to the game that opened up something for you. And can you see that?
Okay. So change my perspective. That's what it's doing.
Look at how it did it with your left brain wasn't involved at all. And it so subtly changed your perspective. And that's why I wanted to point it out, because people who have this happen have no idea that it happened. They'll just be listening to the game, and it'll start to sink in. And notice you haven't even heard the whole thing, but it began to sink in, right? And the people that I worked with who had these breakthroughs, everybody had finished listening to it like about 3 weeks earlier. And then all of a sudden they were all just boom, 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 breaking through. And I'm like, what? So, yeah. So that's what I wanted you to see, if you could perceive what that is.
Yeah, and then so I see it come down, and it's like half of my body clear down to my 4th and to my 3rd, and down both of my arms. And it's like it's getting to the doing part where, I'm perceiving. Well, I don't have to do. So this is perfect. So it what my heart desires. It's lighting up what my heart desires, and I see actually someone with a hand reaching a hand out for me to take their hand, and they're going to carry me through. It's like I don't have to do it. They're basically saying, just take my hand, like a helping hand, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it, because there isn't doing to it. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just listen to the story. You can fall asleep listening to the story. It doesn't even matter if you know what's going on in the story. It works. It just works with you, right? And it's like you said, with this handout, I mean, obviously it doesn't force you to do anything, but it's just a handout that's like, here, want to do it this way? It's so easy. And you're like, well, yes, I would like to do it the easy way. That sounds great.
Yes. Easy is always good.
Right? Yeah. So you saw that for yourself. Now, would you tell me what you see for others? Like what do you see about other people going and listening to the game? Just in general, like just a general energy about that.
It's like they're going to go down the path showing them why they were here, their purpose and why they even exist here on this planet. That's what it's guiding them to. Because I see them going down each of these paths, and they're like tunnels, and there's light. They're going to that light that's at the end of the tunnel that everybody talks about. They're actually going to it. They're finding it. That's what I'm seeing.
Wow.
There we go.
Thank you for joining us at Psychic Insights. You will often hear me refer to life as a game. To understand this concept on a deeper level, listen to the GAME Audiobook by Heather Noël. There's also a free 60-day e-course at thegivinggamefoundation.com. Links are in the description box. Be sure you like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell if you'd like to receive more of these talks. Thank you.